Chapter 21. You are listening at novelfull.audio. They were so caught up in what they were doing, they almost missed dinner. Sis, Chen, you almost had me fooled. You said you were just friends, but I caught you red-handed. Xia Mengmeng stood in the kitchen doorway, eyes wide and a knowing smirk on her face. She'd just gotten back to the villa and heard some commotion in the kitchen, so she came to investigate. To her surprise, she saw her sister, Xia Ruoshui, feeding Chen Fan with her chopsticks. Xia Mengmeng knew her sister inside and out. With her personality, she'd never do that for just any friend unless she had a thing for him. Well, Chen was using both hands to deal with the lobster, so it was just easier to feed him. Xia Ruoshui cleared her throat, trying to explain. Sis, you don't have to explain. I get it, Xia Mengmeng said with a sly smile, then thoughtfully left them alone. How does it taste? Xia Ruoshui asked eagerly, watching Chen Fan try his first dish. It's alright. Haven't cooked in forever. Not bad for the first attempt, Chen Fan replied, fighting the urge to criticize, seeing the hopeful look on her face. Really? Xia Ruoshui perked up immediately and started working on the second dish. Chen Fan's lobster was almost ready, and soon the typhoon shelter lobster would be finished. About half an hour later, Chen Fan and Xia Ruoshui emerged from the kitchen, each carrying 2 dishes. Wow! Xia Mengmeng exclaimed, ready to dig in. Mengmeng, guess which 2 dishes I made and which 2 Mr. Chen made? Xia Ruoshui challenged. Okay. Xia Mengmeng picked up her chopsticks, tasted each dish, and quickly made her judgment, guessing them all correctly. Mengmeng, how did you guess so accurately? Xia Ruoshui asked, puzzled. Sis, 2 of these dishes taste pretty, average, about like what I'd make, and the other 2 are hands down the best typhoon shelter lobster and coke chicken wings I've ever had. Xia Mengmeng replied, it was too easy. Ah, is the difference that big? Xia Ruoshui grabbed her chopsticks in surprise and tasted them herself. She tried the 2 dishes she'd made first. Well, they weren't great, just barely edible. Then she tasted a bite of the typhoon shelter lobster Chen Fan made, and her expression changed instantly. Chen, are you seriously this good at cooking? Xia Ruoshui asked, looking at Chen Fan with wide, admiring eyes. It's nothing special. Chen Fan replied modestly. He'd tried it earlier in the kitchen. It was top-tier cooking thanks to the system, and could probably beat the best chef in Wangjiang Pavilion. Chen, you're amazing, Xia Ruoshui said, gazing at Chen Fan with admiration. Chen was so young, yet such an amazing cook. Whoever married him would be a lucky person. Without realizing it, Chen Fan's image in Xia Ruoshui's mind was climbing. After dinner, Chen Fan left Xia Ruoshui's house soon after. The next morning, the system's voice chimed in, ding, dot, 5th day of severing ties, reward, 100% ownership of Yongjia Shopping Center. Huh. Yongjia Shopping Center. Today's system reward caught Chen Fan off guard. Yongjia Shopping Center was one of the top malls in Jiangzhou, known for its collection of international luxury brands. This time, the system was actually giving him the whole Yongjia Shopping Center. The mall had to be worth around $140 to $150 million. Instantly, Chen Fan's net worth not only crossed $500 million but blew past an unbelievable $600 million. He'd made over $600 million in 5 days. This speed was insane. Chen Fan smiled, satisfied. If he kept going at this rate, in just 4 days, his net worth would break $1 billion and he'd be a billionaire. Then, he'd be one of Jiangzhou's elite and the youngest billionaire in the city. The thought alone excited Chen Fan. He guessed that the Chen family's total assets were around $4 to $5 billion. If his net worth kept growing like this, in just over a month, he'd be worth more than his entire family. And if the system leveled up this month, he'd surpass the Chen family even faster. In under 2 months, Chen Fan would become the new richest man in Jiangzhou. He'd love to see who was regretting their actions then. Just as Chen Fan was making his plans, he received a strange phone call. Excuse me, is this Chen Fan? I'm the former owner of Yongjia Shopping Center. I've received the funds. When would you like to sign the transfer contract? How about 4:30 this afternoon? Chen Fan replied. 4:30 this afternoon works. They agreed to meet at Yongjia Shopping Center to sign the contract at 4:30 p.m. Meanwhile, news of the change in ownership at Wangjiang Pavilion was spreading, surprising many of Jiangzhou's rich and powerful, but who was the new owner? No one knew. For a while, figuring out who'd bought Wangjiang Pavilion became the obsession of Jiangzhou's elite. Around 2 p.m., a man in a black suit, sunglasses, and a bodyguard entered Wangjiang Pavilion. I need to see your boss. He got straight to the point. See our boss? Our boss isn't here. Can I help you? I'm the manager. Manager Zhao asked, surprised. Here. The man in sunglasses pulled out an invitation and handed it to Manager Zhao, who was even more confused. Manager Zhao took the invitation, opened it, and felt his heart stop. He couldn't believe the name on the invitation. Chapter 22. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This invitation came straight from the top. Holy cow, the big boss himself sent this invite. I can't believe it. Please give this to your boss. With that, the guy in shades took off. Manager Zhao was about to call Chen Fan and tell him about the invitation, but no sooner had he pulled out his phone than a waiter came rushing over. Manager Zhao, we've got a problem in room 7. The waiter blurted out, panicking, what's wrong? Manager Zhao asked, concerned, the guests in room 7 are saying our food isn't up to par today. They're asking if we're messing with them on purpose and look like they're about to trash the place. What? Manager Zhao frowned. Manager Zhao, I don't think these guys came to eat. They're here to stir up trouble. The waiter whispered, here to cause trouble? Let's go see what's up. Manager Zhao, with the waiter leading the way, headed to room 7. Inside, 2 skinny middle-aged guys were sitting at a table, surrounded by 4 or 5 beefy dudes who looked like their bodyguards. Excuse me, gentlemen, is there a problem? Manager Zhao asked, flashing a smile as he walked in. Your food isn't as good as the last time someone treated us. You think we're easy to push around and are deliberately serving us garbage? Yeah, get your boss down here to explain himself, or we're gonna tear this place apart. The 2 guys threatened. Manager Zhao was confused. There had never been any complaints about the food. Plus, it was the same chef as always. All right. Gentlemen, we messed up today. How about we comp your meal, okay? Manager Zhao offered. Nah, we don't need your chump change. Yeah, we want to talk to your boss. If he doesn't show, we're wrecking the joint. The 2 guys yelled, okay. Manager Zhao gave in, feeling they were definitely there to cause a scene, with the real goal of meeting the owner. Manager Zhao called Chen Fan and told him that some guys were deliberately causing a ruckus. Making trouble? Chen Fan raised an eyebrow. Just then, the system chimed in, ding, task, head over to Wangjiang Pavilion and see what these guys are up to, reward, custom Rolls-Royce Phantom, reward, 47 experience points, Seeing the task pop up, Chen Fan was surprised and thrilled. He'd been thinking about getting another luxury ride for his business. Right now, his huge garage only had his Lambo, which felt a little bare, plus, the Lambo only seats 2. He needed something with more space. Unexpectedly, the reward was a custom Rolls-Royce Phantom, which was way pricier than the standard model, and, sometimes, you just can't buy a customized Rolls-Royce, no matter how much money you have. Alright, I'll go check it out. Classes had just ended, and Chen Fan was heading to Yongjia Shopping Center. He figured he could swing by Wangjiang Pavilion first. Half an hour later, Chen Fan got to the restaurant. Suspecting that they were there to cause trouble, he rounded up more than 20 security guards as soon as he arrived. A few minutes later, Chen Fan and his small army of security guards were in front of room 7. Before he even opened the door, he heard someone inside shouting, "Why hasn't your boss shown up yet?" "Yeah, you wanna see us trash this place?" The 2 guys were yelling. The bodyguards looked like they were ready to rumble, but before they could finish, a booming voice cut through the noise. "You want to wreck my restaurant? We'll see about that." The next second, Chen Fan, surrounded by 20+ security guards, barged into the room. The bodyguards immediately looked down. Even though they were big, they knew when they were outmatched. Who are you? Me. I'm the owner of Wangjiang Pavilion. Chen Fan said slowly, you're the owner. You're kidding me, right? The two guys were shocked, not believing Chen Fan for a second. This kid couldn't be more than 20. How could he own Wangjiang Pavilion? This is our boss, Mr. Chen. Seeing their disbelief, Manager Zhao stepped forward. Now, the two guys were speechless, staring at Chen Fan in disbelief. He really was the owner. Holy crap, he was young. So what if you're the owner? We weren't happy with the food today. You're gonna give us an explanation, or you'll see what happens. Point one of the guys started. Yeah, if you don't make things right, we're gonna make sure everyone in town knows what a dump this place is. Another guy added, a clear threat hanging in the air. Reputation was everything for a restaurant. The guy wanted to intimidate Chen Fan, but before he could continue, Manager Zhao hurried in. Sorry, boss, I just found out you were here. This is the invitation I was supposed to give you. Manager Zhao said, invitation? Who sent it? Chen Fan asked. It's from Wei Jingxiong, Big Boss Wei. Manager Zhao replied, Wei Jingxiong. Hearing that name, the guy who was about to shout suddenly shut his mouth. Wei Jingxiong was a big shot in Jiangzhou, owning a security company with stakes in almost every entertainment venue. He was the kind of guy who could make the ground tremble with a single step. They wouldn't dare cross him. Oh, Wei Jingxiong. What does he want? Chen Fan was surprised. He had heard of Wei Jingxiong, but the two had never met. Big brother Wei is inviting you to his place for tea tomorrow. Manager Zhao replied, what? Wei Jingxiong was inviting this kid to his house. Crap, crap, crap. The two guys who were trying to cause trouble turned white. Who was Wei Jingxiong? Only the biggest boss in Jiangzhou. What kind of status did the guest he was personally inviting have? Even if he wasn't as important as Wei Jingxiong, he must be close. Otherwise, why would Wei Jingxiong invite him? The more they thought about it, the more scared they became, until their legs felt like jelly. Okay, I understand. Chen Fan nodded, looking at the two guys. Instantly, the two got down on their knees and spilled the beans on who put them up to it. Chapter 23. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two guys didn't dare to lie and spilled the beans to Chen Fan right away. Look, Mr. Chen, we messed up. Truth is, Mr. Chen, Luo Zhixin, the head honcho at Zuixinlu, paid us to come here and stir up trouble. Yeah, Mr. Chen, we were just in it for the money. No need to get worked up about us small fries. They explained that Luo Zhixin, who runs Zuixinlu, the second best restaurant in Jiangzhou, right behind Wangjiang Pavilion, figured with a new boss shaking things up at Wangjiang Pavilion, it was his chance to trash their reputation and snag the top spot in Jiangzhou. Ideally, he'd trash Wangjiang Pavilion and then buy it on the cheap. That was the dream. So, Luo Zhixin from Zuixinlu put you up to this? Chen Fan had a feeling that was coming. This guy's messing with me. Chen Fan smirked. He picked the wrong fight. Zhao, call the cops. Chen Fan ordered. No, Mr. Chen, please. We're sorry, Mr. Chen. Hearing Chen Fan, the two guys freaked out. Eventually, Wangjiang Pavilion security took them away. Chen Fan unfolded the invitation. It was from Wei Jingxiong, a big shot in Jiangzhou, and seemed to be handwritten. Tomorrow, Chen Fan muttered. Tomorrow was the weekend. He'd see. Just then, the system chimed in. Ding. Go to Wangjiang Pavilion and see what these two guys are doing. Mission accomplished. Congratulations on getting a custom Rolls-Royce Phantom. Congratulations on getting 47 experience points. Done and done. A Rolls-Royce and 47 experience points. Nice. Chen Fan checked his total experience points. Current system level, level 1, 195/1500. Only 1305 experience points to level up. Not bad. Chen Fan was feeling pretty good. Just a couple of days since he switched on the system upgrade, and he'd already racked up almost 200 experience points. He was nearly 1/7 of the way there. At this rate, the system would hit level 2 in a month, easy, and then, those daily rewards would seriously jump. That would get him closer to stomping the Su family of Jinling into the ground. Zuixinlu, Luo Jixin. Chen Fan murmured, he had a ton on his plate right now. But once he cleared those, Luo Jixin was going to have a bad time. Luo Jixin wanted to buy his Wangjiang pavilion. He'd find a way to snatch Zuixinlu out from under him and give him a taste of his own medicine. If anything comes up, let me know right away. Chen Fan gave manager Zhao a few pointers and left Wangjiang pavilion. By the time Chen Fan reached Yongjia shopping center, it was only around 4 in the afternoon. He was meeting the former owner at 4:30, so he had half an hour to kill. Chen Fan decided to wander around Yongjia shopping center. He'd only packed a few things when he left the Chen family, so he needed some new clothes. Chen Fan picked the closest store and went inside. Before long, he'd grabbed a pile of stuff, just as Chen Fan was about to pay. A surprised voice broke through. Hey, isn't that Chen Fan? You're cut off from the Chen family, and you've got the guts to show up in a fancy store like this? Got any money? A young guy sauntered over, all sarcasm. This was Zhu Pengyu, from the Zhu family, another big name in Jiangzhou. He and Chen Fan had always rubbed each other the wrong way. Even though you're still in the Zhu family, aren't you basically cut off too? Chen Fan fired back. Zhu Pengyu's face went red. Zhu Pengyu was an illegitimate kid. He didn't rank high in the Zhu family. He was probably no better off than when he was in the Chen family. Chen Fan ignored Zhu Pengyu and headed to the register. Humph, one shirt here costs tens or hundreds of thousands. You grabbed a ton of stuff. You gonna be able to pay? Zhu Pengyu sneered. Chen Fan had at least a dozen shirts and pants. All together, that had to be hundreds of thousands, easy. Zhu Pengyu couldn't believe Chen Fan, dumped by the Chen family, could cough up that kind of cash. Just wait. What are you going to do if you don't have enough? Zhu Pengyu tagged along, looking for some drama. A few minutes later, the clerk finished the total. Sir, that comes to 1,276,000 yuan. Card, or over a million? Zhu Pengyu was floored. That was insane. Over $1 million for a few clothes. That was luxury. Alright, forget Chen Fan, he probably couldn't even afford that. He wanted to see how Chen Fan was going to whip out that million plus and pay. While Zhu Pengyu was losing his mind at the price, Chen Fan stayed cool as a cucumber, like he'd heard $100, not $1 million. Scan me. Chen Fan pulled up the payment code and held his phone out. Okay. The clerk scanned it. A second later, a bank text came through. Card ending in 5169 spent 127,6000. Balance is 988,100,010.23 yuan. Zhu Pengyu, ready to see Chen Fan squirm, happened to catch that text. He froze. Holy crap, Chen Fan's balance had, like, 1 billion digits. That was 8 or 9 digits. 8 digits was over 90 million, 9 was over 900 million. Zhu Pengyu's heart skipped a beat. Even 90 million, let alone 900 million, was insane money to him. He might be from the Zhu family, but he only had a few 100,000 in his account. Not even a fraction of Chen Fan's. The best kid in the Zhu family only had like 20 or 30 million, nowhere near Chen Fan. How could Chen Fan have that kind of money? It was terrifying. Zhu Pengyu stood there like he'd been struck by lightning, completely stunned. Chen Fan grabbed his bags and walked out. $1 million was just a drop in the bucket for him. After loading the clothes into the car, Chen Fan noticed the time. He headed straight to the top floor of Yongjia shopping center. A few minutes later, Chen Fan arrived at the top floor office. The former owner of Yongjia shopping center was already there. They shook hands and introduced themselves. After a few pleasantries, they got down to business and signed the contract. Just like that, Yongjia shopping center, one of the hottest malls in Jiangzhou, belonged to Chen Fan. After finishing up, the former owner packed his things and left, leaving the fancy office to Chen Fan. Chen Fan sat there for a minute and then it hit him. Something even bigger. Chapter 24. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Things were definitely going downhill fast. Time to use that any skill selection card I snagged from the last mission. Chen Fan wasn't sure how to use the card, or what skill to pick, but now he had an idea. 2 skills were at the top of his list. top-tier fighting skills and killer financial management skills. First, the fighting skills. Chen Fan thought about this after the Wangjiang Pavilion incident. Truthfully, the idea had been brewing for a while. If he wasn't on his own turf, and a real fight broke out, he, a regular college student, would be toast against those beefy bodyguards, and what if he accepted the invite to Wei Jingxiong's mansion? Who knew what might happen? Facing a heavy hitter like Wei Jingxiong, top-notch fighting skills would be a good insurance policy. More importantly, he'd eventually be dealing with the Su family from Jinling. If the Su family got desperate and wanted to go to war, fighting skills would give him the power to protect himself. Then, there were the financial management skills. As his wealth grew and his business empire expanded, financial management became crucial. Chen Fan was just a sophomore and didn't know much about managing money. He could handle things now, but if he ended up with a dozen, 20, or even more businesses, he'd be overwhelmed. Without top-level financial skills, problems were bound to crop up: mismanagement, bankruptcy, you name it. Too bad he only had one, any skill selection card. He had to pick one. Chen Fan was stuck. Finally, an idea hit him. He'd go with the fighting skills first, to stay safe, and pick up financial management later. He didn't have that many businesses yet, so he could manage for now. No rush, and with the system, he'd definitely get a shot at those management skills down the road. Decision made. Chen Fan opened the system and found the any skill selection card. Ding. Enter the name of the skill you want to select. The system prompt popped up. Top fighting skill. Chen Fan typed it in. Ding. Congratulations. You have obtained top fighting skill and become a top fighting master. Seconds later, a flood of brain and muscle memory surged through his mind and body. He slowly opened his eyes, clenching his fists. He felt stronger than before. If he ran into those two troublemakers from Wangjiang Pavilion again, he could take down their bodyguards without breaking a sweat. Now that he was a fighting master, he could face any danger. It was getting late, so Chen Fan left the office and drove home. On the way, he texted manager Zhao at Wangjiang Pavilion, asking him to dig up dirt on Luo Zhixin, the owner of Zuixinlu, and send it to him by tomorrow night. Gotta know your enemy. If he was going to deal with Luo Zhixin, he needed intel. Got it, boss. Manager Zhao was already on it. Back home, as Chen Fan pulled into the garage, he spotted a black Rolls-Royce parked there. It was the custom Rolls-Royce Phantom he'd won from a mission. Chen Fan parked, got out, and walked over to the Phantom, feeling pretty good. He knew the Rolls-Royce Phantom well. Back in the Chen family, some of the big shots, like Mr. Chen's third son, drove Phantoms, but their cars couldn't compare to his. His could buy several of theirs. He opened the door and hopped in. The feel of a luxury business car was totally different from a supercar. After admiring his ride, Chen Fan went inside. Time zipped by. The next morning, the system's voice chimed in. Ding. Day 6 of severing ties. Reward, a world-class black card, a MasterCard black card from the First Royal Bank of the Oil Country, located in your villa study. Huh. Chen Fan was totally surprised. He hadn't expected a MasterCard black card from the First Royal Bank of the Oil Country. He'd heard stories about this card. It was one of the top black cards in the world, mostly owned by royalty, the super rich, and top dogs from around the globe. Compared to other black cards, this one was extra special and rare. Even more important, you couldn't just buy it. The MasterCard black card from the First Royal Bank of the Oil Country was invitation only. You had to be invited by the first group of the oil country. No invite, no card. No matter how deep your pockets were, the First Royal Bank of the Oil Country provided every black card holder with a 24/7 service team ready to handle anything. Even better, the card had no spending limit. You could max it out. Plus, it came with perks like VIP lounge access at global airports and exclusive privileges at the world's best private clubs, a symbol of status and power. If Chen Fan had to guess, he was the first person in Jiangzhou to own a First Royal Bank of the Oil Country MasterCard black card. Not even Mr. Chen had this card. The system's reward was insane. He couldn't wait to check it out. He walked into the villa study and spotted the black bank card on his desk. He picked it up and couldn't help but think, the oil country really lived up to its reputation. This card was on another level. Chapter 25. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This oil tycoon's premier black card was trimmed with gold and featured a natural diamond right in the center. The gold and diamond alone were worth a fortune, but compared to the power the card represented, they were nothing. Chen Fan was thrilled with the system's reward. Meanwhile, over at Linhai Group, Feng Yanli, the second largest shareholder, sought out Jiang Hao, the largest shareholder and actual controller. "Mr. Feng, what brings you here?" Jiang Hao asked, maintaining a professional distance. As the top two shareholders, they weren't exactly friends, especially since Feng Yanli had been secretly buying up shares, eyeing Jiang Hao's position. "Mr. Jiang, I want to team up and oust Chen Fan from the company completely." Feng Yanli's tone dripped with resentment. Mr. Kong from Yum Brands had specifically instructed him to keep Linhai Group away from Xia Group. But Chen Fan had gone behind his back and signed a long-term deal with them. This infuriated Mr. Kong, who then told Feng Yanli to teach Chen Fan a lesson. So, swallowing his pride, Feng Yanli approached his rival, Jiang Hao, hoping they could agree to kick Chen Fan to the curb. With the two largest shareholders on board, plus a few smaller ones, it would be a piece of cake. Kick Chen Fan out. Jiang Hao was taken aback. "If you agree, Mr. Jiang, I'll follow your lead from now on. I'll owe you big time." Feng Yanli humbled himself, practically begging. Finally, with enough assurances and sweet talk, Jiang Hao caved. "We'll hold a board meeting tomorrow to discuss it." "Thank you, Mr. Jiang." Feng Yanli beamed, picturing Mr. Kong's approval and the potential for future advancement. He was just using Jiang Hao as a pawn. Tomorrow, Chen Fan's going down. Serves him right for crossing me and Yum Brands. In his own office, Jiang Hao smirked. Getting rid of Feng Yanli was actually his bigger goal. He'd been dreaming of it for years, but their shares were too close, making it impossible. He'd only given Feng Yanli lip service. In reality, he was wondering if he could partner with Chen Fan to boot Feng Yanli out. It wasn't impossible, but it depended on Chen Fan having the guts and the power. If not, well, too bad for Chen Fan. He decided to meet Chen Fan first and then decide on his next move. With that in mind, Jiang Hao called his right-hand man, Zheng Xingde, the current president of Linhai Group, and asked him to invite Chen Fan to dinner, saying he had something important to discuss. 10 minutes later, Chen Fan got the call from Zheng Xingde. Invited to dinner? Chen Fan was surprised. The more you have, the busier you get. That afternoon, Wei Jingxiong, a Jiangzhou big shot, had invited him for tea. And now, the largest shareholder of Linhai Group wanted to discuss important matters over dinner. "Okay, I'm in. See you tonight." Chen Fan agreed. It was an important matter, after all, and as the third largest shareholder, he couldn't exactly refuse. As for Wei Jingxiong's invitation, Chen Fan pondered. Just then, the system chimed in. Ding. Temporary task. Accept Wei Jingxiong's invitation and go to his manor for tea. Reward, 8% of Linhai Group's shares. Reward, 51 experience points. Huh. The system's upping the ante again. Chen Fan's eyes lit up. Now he definitely couldn't refuse Wei Jingxiong. Besides, with those top-tier fighting skills he'd just gotten, he wasn't worried about any trouble. 8% of Linhai Group was huge. If he completed the task, plus his existing shares, he'd own 20% of the company. As far as Chen Fan knew, Feng Yanli only held 20.3%. He was only 0.4% away from overtaking him. With that 8%, Chen Fan's net worth would officially break through 7 billion. Meanwhile, at a Jiangzhou coffee shop, Chen Itsue was in a funk after her failed scheme against Chen Fan. She couldn't even beat him, so embarrassing. Her best friend tried to cheer her up. "Don't worry, Itsue. I'm visiting a big shot in Jiangzhou this afternoon. Why don't you come along? I'll introduce you." Chen Itsue's admirer, Zhu Hongyi, a direct descendant of the wealthy Zhu family, chimed in. "If you impress this big shot, maybe you can use his influence to punish that kid, Chen Fan." "Really? Hongyi, which big shot are you talking about?" Chen Itsue perked up, excited. Wei Jingxiong. Big boss Wei. Zhu Hongyi said admiringly. Wei Jingxiong was a self-made man, a hero to many young people. What? Wei Jingxiong. Boss Wei. Chen Yitsue was ecstatic. She knew all about Wei Jingxiong's reputation. If she could get in his good graces, not only could she deal with Chen Fan, but her standing within the Chen family would skyrocket. Hongyi, are you sure it's okay for me to tag along when you visit Boss Wei? Although Chen Yitsue was eager to go, she played it cool, pretending to be considerate. Of course. Zhu Hongyi said quickly. Chen Yitsue was right, it wasn't ideal to bring a stranger. But seeing her look so vulnerable, Zhu Hongyi forgot all about protocol. Thank you so much, Hongyi. Chen Yitsue squeezed Zhu Hongyi's hand in gratitude. I've never met anyone like Wei Jingxiong. You'll have to help me make a good impression. Holding Chen Yitsue's delicate hand, Zhu Hongyi's heart pounded. No problem, it's the least I can do, I'll definitely help you. Zhu Hongyi nodded enthusiastically. Time flew by, and that afternoon, Chen Fan drove his custom Rolls-Royce Phantom straight to Wei Jingxiong's villa. Meanwhile, Chen Yitsue and Zhu Hongyi also set off. Chapter 26. You are listening at novelfull.audio. They were tight, and the competition was fierce. Their close connection allowed Chen Yitsue and Zhu Hongyi to arrive at Wei Jingxiong's mansion first. As Zhu Hongyi parked the car, Chen Yitsue visibly tensed up, hesitant to get out. Wei Jingxiong was, after all, a notorious tyrant in Jiangzhou, known for his ruthlessness. She'd impulsively tagged along with Zhu Hongyi. What if Wei Jingxiong blew up when he saw her? The possibilities swirled in her mind, fueling her anxiety. Yitsue, relax. I know Wei like the back of my hand. I'll put in a good word for you, and he'll be impressed. Then taking down Chen Fan will be a piece of cake, right? One word from Wei, and it's done, Zhu Hongyi reassured her. That's right, Chen Yitsue agreed, a touch of excitement replacing her fear at the thought of getting revenge on Chen Fan. Her biggest desire was to make Chen Fan pay. If she could force him to his knees, make him apologize to the family, and marry that Su woman from Jinling, her grandfather would finally see her in a new light, giving her more power within the Chen family and paving the way for a brighter future. Chen Fan was her stepping stone, and she intended to use him. Taking a deep breath, Chen Yitsue and Zhu Hongyi exited the car. As a powerful figure in Jiangzhou, Wei Jingxiong had made plenty of enemies. Several bodyguards stood guard in front of his mansion. Zhu Hongyi stepped forward and addressed the head bodyguard politely. Hello, please inform Wei Jingxiong that Zhu Hongyi from the Zhu family is here to visit. The Zhu family? Wait here. The bodyguard captain glanced at Zhu Hongyi before heading inside to deliver the message. Did you really need to announce us? Chen Yitsue asked, disappointed. She'd hoped Zhu Hongyi could walk right in. It's just protocol. Wei will definitely see me, Zhu Hongyi said confidently. As they waited, a brand new Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up beside them. To Chen Yitsue's utter shock, Chen Fan emerged in style. Chen Fan was here. A new Rolls-Royce Phantom. Chen Yitsue stared at the car, green with envy. In their Chen family, only the uncles owned luxury cars like that. There was no way any of the younger generation could afford one, but after cutting ties with the Chen family, Chen Fan hadn't become poor. Instead, he was living the high life, wearing a multi-million-dollar Patek Philippe and driving a multi-million-dollar Rolls-Royce. He was doing better than Chen Jianshu, the golden boy of the younger generation. A good-for-nothing who leeches off women. Consumed by jealousy, Chen Yitsue could only resort to insults about Chen Fan's supposed sugar mama. In her and the other Chen family members' eyes, the only reason Chen Fan had any of this was because he was being kept by the Xia group. Huh? He got that Rolls-Royce by being a kept man? Zhu Hongyi asked, confused. He himself drove a Bentley Continental worth maybe $500,000, but this cast-off from the Chen family was driving a Rolls-Royce. Yes, not just the Rolls-Royce, but also his Lamborghini and the Patek Philippe. He got it all from being a kept man, Chen Yitsue spat out. What? Zhu Hongyi was floored. He was now insanely jealous of Chen Fan. he scored a Rolls-Royce, a Lamborghini, and a Patek Philippe by dating someone rich. He was a role model. In that moment, Zhu Hongyi admired Chen Fan, big brother, how did you do it? I want to learn from you. I mean, dating rich is the way to go, but in front of Chen Yitsue, Zhu Hongyi had to pretend to look down on Chen Fan. Haha, he's a loser, alright. Zhu Hongyi said, but what he really wanted to say was that Chen Fan was a god. Chen Fan, is this really a place you should be? Chen Yitsue asked sarcastically. If you can come, why can't I? Is this your house? Chen Fan retorted coolly. He's probably here to see Wei. Too bad, Wei isn't someone an outcast like you can meet. Zhu Hongyi chimed in, eager to please Chen Yitsue. We've known Wei for ages. The bodyguards are already announcing us. We'll be seeing him in a minute, while you, Chen Fan, will be standing out here, unable to get in. Chen Yitsue said smugly. Just then, the bodyguard captain returned. See, Chen Fan. We're about to go in. Chen Yitsue straightened her clothes, grabbed Zhu Hongyi's arm, and prepared to enter Wei Jingxiong's mansion. Our boss said he's busy today and isn't seeing any guests. The bodyguard captain's words stunned Chen Yitsue and Zhu Hongyi, not seeing any guests. They weren't going to see Wei. Zhu Hongyi was speechless, and Chen Yitsue's face flushed with embarrassment. She'd just been showing off in front of Chen Fan, and now. Humph, we can't get in, we can't see Wei, and Chen Fan can't see him either, Chen Yitsue muttered to herself. Next to her, Chen Fan stepped forward and approached the bodyguard captain. I'd like to see Wei Jingxiong. Hearing Chen Fan's request, the bodyguard captain was immediately annoyed. Didn't he just say that their boss wasn't seeing anyone today? Was this kid deaf? Isn't he just asking for a dressing down? Chen Yitsue muttered, waiting to see Chen Fan get kicked out. The bodyguard captain was about to reprimand Chen Fan, but before he could speak, Chen Fan pulled an invitation from his pocket and handed it over. The bodyguard captain took the invitation, and his expression instantly changed. It's you? That the bodyguard captain's attitude became incredibly respectful. Please. The next second, to the astonishment of Chen Yitsue and Zhu Hongyi, the bodyguard captain respectfully invited Chen Fan inside. Chapter 27. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The place was a madhouse with both of them trying to get in. How the heck did this happen? How did Chen Fan waltz right in? Didn't the head of security just say Wei Jingxiong was busy with important stuff and wasn't seeing anyone today? Now Chen Fan's inside, and they're stuck cooling their heels outside the gate, not even able to get onto the property, let alone meet the big boss, Wei Jingxiong himself. What gives? Chen Yitsue's face went white. She was totally baffled. Finally, she pinned the whole thing on Zhu Hongyi. What the heck are you doing? She demanded, annoyed. I don't know how this happened. How'd that guy get in? Zhu Hongyi said, throwing his hands up. How could Chen Fan, that loser who cut ties with our family, the scrub who's mooching off Xia Mengmeng, get in? You're a direct descendant of the Zhu family. Chen Yitsue pressed. Wait, what did you say? Chen Fan's living off Xia Mengmeng? Zhu Hongyi asked, shocked. He'd seen Xia Mengmeng before. She was the daughter of the Xia group and a total knockout, miles above Chen Yitsue. Earlier, when Chen Yitsue said Chen Fan was living off some woman, Zhu Hongyi figured she was some old lady. This was way better. Living off Xia Mengmeng would be a dream come true. He'd consider cutting ties with his own family for that. Who cares about that right now? I'm asking why you can't get us in, Chen Yitsue snapped. Man, Chen Fan's a legend, a role model, a freaking god to our generation. Zhu Hongyi wasn't even listening to Chen Yitsue anymore. He was completely in awe of Chen Fan. Mr. Zhu, are you even listening? You're supposed to be able to get us in to see Wei Jingxiong, right? Why are we stuck out here? Chen Yitsue griped. Don't you dare yell at me. It's not my fault you can't see Wei. If you're so capable, go see him yourself, Zhu Hongyi retorted, getting fed up. You, what's with the attitude? Chen Yitsue was stunned. Zhu Hongyi was practically begging for her attention before. How dare he talk to her like that? Whatever. Get lost. I don't want to see you anymore. I'm gonna wait here for my idol. I want to be his right-hand man. Zhu Hongyi said, gazing admiringly at Chen Fan's back as he walked into the manor. He was totally obsessed with Chen Fan. If he could learn even a fraction of what Chen Fan knew, forget it, he was done with Chen Itsue, who was a shallow wannabe anyway. He had bigger fish to fry now. You. Chen Itsue was fuming. First, she was humiliated by Chen Fan, and now she was getting dumped by her admirer. She was losing face fast. Just you wait. She was so mad she hopped in a cab and sped off. Zhu Hongyi was left there waiting for his hero, Chen Fan. Inside the manor, Chen Fan followed the head of security deeper into the grounds. The security chief had already radioed ahead. Hearing that the boss of Wangjiang Pavilion had arrived, Wei Jingxiong himself came out to greet Chen Fan. Wei Jingxiong was surprised to see how young Chen Fan was. I'm Chen Fan, the new owner of Wangjiang Pavilion, Chen Fan announced. Wei Jingxiong, owner of Wei's security, Wei Jingxiong replied. Wei Jingxiong reached out to shake hands. Chen Fan took his hand. The moment they touched, Wei Jingxiong squeezed hard, as if he was testing the waters with this guy he'd just met. Let's be honest, Wei Jingxiong invited Chen Fan, or rather, the new boss of Wangjiang Pavilion, over with ulterior motives. As a big player in Jiangzhou, Wei Jingxiong also had his eye on Wangjiang Pavilion. Taking over the premier restaurant in the city would be a huge boost to his business empire. He'd invited Chen Fan today to see what he was made of. If Chen Fan was a pushover, he'd make his move. Facing Wei Jingxiong's sudden pressure, Chen Fan remained calm and matched his strength. Wei Jingxiong had clawed his way to the top and was a skilled guy, but he was no match for a top-tier fighter. Looks like choosing to master combat skills first was a smart move. As soon as Chen Fan put on the pressure, Wei Jingxiong knew he was in trouble. He didn't want to lose to Chen Fan, so he cranked up the force, gritting his teeth and trembling. Still, he couldn't win. Chen Fan stood there, unfazed. Mr. Chen's strength is incredible. I admit defeat. Wei Jingxiong finally had to concede. He'd underestimated Mr. Chen. Judging by his skills, he was no joke. After hearing what Wei Jingxiong said, Chen Fan released his grip. Round 1 went to Chen Fan. Please, come in. Wei Jingxiong gestured for Chen Fan to enter. In the living room, a man with silver-rimmed glasses and a gentle demeanor was waiting. Let me introduce my assistant, Mr. Liu, Wei Jingxiong said. Chen Fan had heard a bit about Mr. Liu. Even though he was called an assistant, he was more like Wei Jingxiong's strategist. Chen Fan and Mr. Liu nodded to each other in acknowledgement. As soon as they sat down, Wei Jingxiong planned to ramp up the pressure. The handshake was just a warm-up. Now for the real thing. Mr. Chen, what do you think of my place? Wei Jingxiong asked. Not bad, Chen Fan replied. Wei Jingxiong's manner was impressive. Given the chance, Chen Fan wouldn't mind building a similar mansion. You're too kind. It's actually pretty ordinary, not nearly big enough. I'm planning on buying up all the land within 1.5 miles to expand it, Wei Jingxiong said. By the way, Mr. Liu, how much would it cost to buy all that land? Wei Jingxiong turned to Mr. Liu. Roughly 10 billion, Mr. Liu estimated. Only 10 billion? That's pocket change, just a few months' profit for the group, Wei Jingxiong said with a show of wealth. Chen Fan kept quiet, but thought to himself, 10 billion? Yeah, that's just my daily haul. Seeing that Chen Fan wasn't fazed by his financial flexing, Wei Jingxiong switched gears. Chapter 28. You are listening at novelfull.audio. They were both really busy. Hey, Mr. Liu, what's the status on that MasterCard Black Card I applied for? Wei Jingxiong glanced at Mr. Liu again. Boss, it's been in review for almost 2 weeks. Should be any day now. With your assets, getting approved shouldn't be a problem. Mr. Liu nodded, knowing exactly what the boss was up to. These little tests for Chen Fan were his idea in the first place. Good. Wei Jingxiong nodded, satisfied, then turned to Chen Fan. Mr. Chen, have you ever applied for a MasterCard Black Card? Before Chen Fan could answer, his cell phone rang. He saw it was an unfamiliar number and answered, surprised. "Hello, is this Chen Fan?" A man's voice came through the speaker. "Speaking. Who's this?" "Good day, Mr. Chen Fan. I'm a senior manager at First Royal Bank of Petroleum Country. As a new MasterCard Black Card holder with us, I've been assigned as your personal banker." The man on the other end introduced himself. "Oh, you're my personal banker from First Royal Bank of Petroleum Country." Chen Fan nodded, understanding. Wei Jingxiong and Mr. Lu froze, exchanging a look. They'd done their research on various black cards a while back and knew First Royal Bank of Petroleum Country's card was top tier. Wei Jingxiong's application was only for a mid-level card, no comparison. Most of the world's elite black cards are invitation only. You can't just apply. Why would First Royal Bank of Petroleum Country assign Chen Fan a personal banker? What was going on? Was Chen Fan involved in some major deal with them? Wei Jingxiong and Mr. Lu were bewildered. Back on the phone, the man continued. "Yes, Mr. Chen. Please don't hesitate to contact me anytime with requests. Whatever you need, our bank will do everything we can to make it happen." Chen Fan finished the call. After a brief chat, Wei Jingxiong practically jumped out of his seat. "Mr. Chen, what's your relationship with First Royal Bank of Petroleum Country? Why did they assign you a personal banker?" "Just a black card user, nothing special," Chen Fan replied casually. "What?" Wei Jingxiong was practically speechless. Even the usually calm Mr. Lu was stunned. "Mr. Chen has their black card?" Wei Jingxiong blurted out in disbelief. "Nothing special." That was a major understatement. There might not be a single First Royal Bank of Petroleum Country black card holder in their entire province, let alone Jiangzhou City, and here was Chen Fan, casually dropping that he was one. This was a whole different level of baller status. His own application was still pending, and even if approved, it wouldn't hold a candle to Chen Fan's. Wei Jingxiong felt instantly deflated. He'd wanted to flaunt his wealth, and now he looked ridiculous. Chen Fan had to be unbelievably rich to have that card. Wei Jingxiong was deeply impressed. Forget the Wangjiang Pavilion thing. A First Royal Bank of Petroleum Country black card holder was not someone to mess with. Wei Jingxiong glanced at Mr. Lu with a meaningful look. Mr. Lu understood, but he wasn't ready to give up. He made a decision. One last test. If Chen Fan proved to be truly formidable, they'd back down. "Mr. Chen, the boss is very grateful you came to his manor. May I ask where you reside? We'd like to pay you a visit sometime." Mr. Lu asked politely. He couldn't directly ask about Chen Fan's wealth or power. Instead, he hoped to learn something from Chen Fan's address. "Me? I live at Villa number 8 in Yujing Estates." Chen Fan said casually. "Villa number 8 in Yujing Estates?" Wei Jingxiong and Mr. Lu's faces paled. They'd heard that the owner of Villa number 8 was a mysterious big shot. Turns out, that person was Chen Fan. Unbelievable. "Mr. Chen, living in Yujing Estates. You're truly accomplished for your age." "I'm very impressed," Mr. Lu said, standing up respectfully. All thoughts of testing Chen Fan vanished. The owner of Villa number 8 with the First Royal Bank of Petroleum Country's black card was way beyond his league. "Mr. Chen is amazing," Wei Jingxiong added. He envied Chen Fan's status. Now, Wei Jingxiong wouldn't dare look down on Chen Fan. He personally poured Chen Fan tea, dropping his boss act to try to connect with Chen Fan as an equal. Just then, the system chimed in. Ding. Agree to Wei Jingxiong's invitation and go to his manor for tea. Congratulations on obtaining 8% of the shares of Linhai Group. The share purchase contract has been placed in your villa study. Please check it. Congratulations on obtaining 51 experience points. Task complete. Chen Fan now owned 20% of Linhai Group, making him a 1/5 owner. With the task complete, Chen Fan's net worth had broken the $7 billion mark. He was on his way to becoming a billionaire. Chen Fan chatted with Wei Jingxiong for a bit, who then warmly invited him to dinner. "Sorry, Boss Wei, I've got plans tonight," Chen Fan said. He was meeting Jiang Hao, Linhai Group's largest shareholder. He seemed to have something important to discuss. "That's a shame." I'll have to invite you another time. I hope you won't refuse next time, Wei Jingxiong said, sounding disappointed. As Chen Fan prepared to leave, Wei Jingxiong took the initiative to exchange contact information. Wei's got some pull in Jiangzhou. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out, Wei Jingxiong said, deliberately showing goodwill. Thank you, Boss Wei, Chen Fan replied, no point in being impolite when he was being so friendly. Never underestimate the influence of a local big shot. Finally, Wei Jingxiong personally escorted Chen Fan out of the manor. As soon as Chen Fan stepped outside the gate, a black shadow lunged at him. Chapter 29. You are listening at novelfull.audio. They were so mad they were ready to throw down. Just when Chen Fan and Wei Jingxiong braced themselves for an ambush, something totally unexpected happened. My idol. It's really you. I can't believe I'm finally meeting you. The figure dove to the ground, latching onto Chen Fan's leg, gushing with excitement. Wei Jingxiong squinted. Zhu Hongyi. Is that you? Hey, Boss Wei. Zhu Hongyi tilted his head to acknowledge Wei Jingxiong, still glued to Chen Fan's leg. Chen Fan stared at him. Zhu Hongyi, as in, from the Zhu family. The one and only, idol. Zhu Hongyi looked up, practically vibrating with adoration. Idol? Come on, man, get up. Chen Fan felt ridiculous being clung to like this. Sure thing. The moment his idol spoke, Zhu Hongyi scrambled up and straightened his clothes. Hello, idol. I'm Zhu Hongyi, straight out of the Zhu clan. I'm a huge fan and would be honored to be your little brother. Please say yes. Zhu Hongyi's tone was deadly serious. Your little brother. If I remember correctly, weren't you just hanging out with Chen Itsue? Chen Fan remembered seeing them together. Idol, I was totally played by that green tea queen, Chen Itsue. I was blinded and didn't recognize your greatness, idol. My bad. Seriously, my bad. Zhu Hongyi bowed low, apologizing profusely. Please, let me be your bro. He sounded utterly sincere. Wei Jingxiong, watching the scene unfold, mentally revised his opinion of Zhu Hongyi. This kid's got potential. He knows a rising star when he sees one. Starred, your little brother, huh? I'm not looking to take on any little brothers right now. Chen Fan turned him down flat. He didn't know this guy from Adam. First, he's cozy with Chen Itsue, then he's suddenly begging to be his bro. Something felt fishy. Zhu Hongyi deflated like a punctured balloon. Rejection stung. Chen Fan and Wei Jingxiong said their goodbyes and took off, leaving Zhu Hongyi in the dust with Wei Jingxiong. Wei Jingxiong eyed Zhu Hongyi's crestfallen face. Kid, you've got good instincts, latching onto Mr. Chen like that. But wanting to be his brother? Just saying it isn't enough. You gotta show it. When you came to butter me up, you always had expensive gifts. Now you want to be Mr. Chen's little brother by just asking. Sure, people might kiss your butt because you're from the Zhu family, but your family name means squat to Mr. Chen. Wait a minute. Zhu Hongyi's eyes widened. The light bulb finally went off. He got it. Just asking wasn't enough. He needed to prove himself, earn his idol's approval. Thank you, Mr. Wei. You're a lifesaver. He bowed to Wei Jingxiong and practically skipped away. The Chen family and his idol were on opposite sides, and Zhu Hongyi knew just what to do to prove himself worthy. Wei Jingxiong murmured to himself, that kid might actually go places. Meanwhile, Chen Itsue was back at the Chen family mansion, trying to rally support. But, once again, Grandpa Chen was MIA. Uncle, where's Grandpa? I've been here a bunch of times, but he's never around. Chen Itsue sounded frustrated as she questioned a stout, middle-aged man. This was Chen Jinping, Grandpa Chen's fourth son, a core member of the family and one of Grandpa Chen's favorites. Oh, your grandfather and uncle are out of town on business. They won't be back for a few days. Out of town? Chen Itsue's disappointment was clear. Anyway, Itsue, you seem a bit worked up. What's going on? Chen Jinping asked. Oh, uncle, I ran into Chen Fan again, and I tried to teach him a lesson, but he slapped me across the face. Chen Itsue sounded embarrassed. That little punk Chen Fan again. Chen Jinping's face darkened. Tell you what, Itsue, go find Xingrong and get him to handle it. Have him rough Chen Fan up a bit, and maybe remind him that he's supposed to marry that Su girl. Chen Xingrong was Chen Jinping's eldest son, the golden boy of the younger generation. Out of a dozen or so young Chen family members, he was near the top. He was a towering figure, over 6 feet tall and built like a brick house. He ran a local underground racket, commanding nearly 100 thugs. Get Xingrong involved. Chen Itsue perked up at the suggestion. You and Xingrong take care of Chen Fan. Then, when Grandpa gets back, we can all surprise him. Chen Jinping said with a grin. Of course, his real motivation was to make his son look good in front of his father. Chen Jinping was confident in his son's methods. Teaching Chen Fan a lesson would be a walk in the park for him. Okay, uncle, I'll do that. Chen Itsue nodded eagerly. With Chen Xingrong on the case, Chen Fan was sure to be scared stiff. She left to find her cousin, Chen Xingrong. 20 minutes later, Chen Fan arrived at Wangjiang Pavilion. Jiang Hao, the majority shareholder of Tinfei Group, had invited Chen Fan to dinner in a private room. Jiang Hao and his right-hand man, Zheng Xingde, now president of Tinfei Group, were already waiting. After introductions, Jiang Hao cut to the chase. Mr. Chen, are you aware that you've made an enemy of Feng Yanli? Offended Feng Yanli? Chen Fan raised an eyebrow. That was news to him. Jiang Hao gestured for Zheng Xingde to fill Chen Fan in. This morning, Feng Yanli came to see me, wanting me to team up with him to take you down, Mr. Chen. Jiang Hao clarified. He wants me to help him kick you out of the company. Really? And what do you plan to do, Mr. Jiang? Chen Fan fired back. Jiang Hao coming to him with this information meant he definitely had an angle. Mr. Chen is as sharp as they say, Jiang Hao chuckled. I do have a few ideas of my own. Feng Yanli and I have always been at odds. So instead of working with him, I'd rather partner with you, Mr. Chen, but, Jiang Hao paused, giving Chen Fan a meaningful look. Chapter 30. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But what? Chen Fan didn't jump to conclusions. If Feng Yanli really was trying to get rid of him, then he wouldn't let it slide. Chen Fan wasn't the type to be anyone's punching bag. But Jiang Hao was the only one saying it, and Chen Fan wasn't sure what Jiang Hao was really after. Just then, the system chimed in, ding. Temporary task issued, hit back at Feng Yanli. Give him a taste of his own medicine by getting him kicked out of Tinfei Group's decision-making level and watch him dig his own grave. Task reward, master-level financial management skills, task reward, 53 experience points. Whoa, Chen Fan was stoked when he saw the reward, man, this system was awesome. He'd been bummed before because he could only pick one skill from the any skill selection card, meaning he couldn't grab the master-level financial management skill. He'd been hoping the system would offer it up later, and now, boom, here it was. This system was the best. Now, there was no way Chen Fan was letting Feng Yanli off the hook. But I don't know Mr. Chen's thoughts and abilities. Jiang Hao said. Let's just say I own 22.5% of Tinfei Group stock, and Feng Yanli's got 20.3%. It's a pretty tight race, Chen Fan replied. And I hear Feng Yanli's been buying up shares from smaller investors, trying to become the biggest shareholder in the company. I've got no beef with you, Chen, but I'm at war with Feng Yanli. Instead of helping Feng Yanli screw you over, how about we team up and boot him out of the company? That should prove I'm serious. Chen Fan nodded, getting the gist of Jiang Hao's plan. Of course, I have a condition, Jiang Hao added. Chen Fan wasn't surprised. Nobody does something for nothing. Spit it out, Chen Fan said. After we join forces to kick Feng Yanli to the curb, I'm also going to fire all his cronies. That'll leave a bunch of senior positions open, and I'll be filling them with my own people. Jiang Hao got right to the point, being Feng Yanli's crony meant being a big shot at Tingfei Group. Jiang Hao wanted to use this chance to pack those key spots with his allies, making it easier to run the show. So I'm hoping you'll back me up at the board meeting. Deal, Chen Fan said. He wasn't interested in those positions anyway. He wouldn't have stepped in, even if Jiang Hao hadn't said anything. You're a man of your word, Mr. Chen. Jiang Hao grinned, standing up to shake Chen Fan's hand. All right, happy to do business. Chen Fan stood up too. The deal was sealed. After lunch, Chen Fan headed out. On his way, he decided to come up with a plan B, just in case. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Meanwhile, over at Zuixinlu, Luo Zhixin, the owner, was giving the two middle-aged guys in front of him a nasty look. These were the two goons he'd sent to Wangjiang Pavilion to cause trouble yesterday. He hadn't heard anything yesterday, so Luo Zhixin figured something had gone wrong. Turns out, these two clowns and the bodyguards he'd sent with them had been hauled into the police station by the new owner of Wangjiang Pavilion. He had to pull some strings to get them out. What are you guys, amateurs? How could you screw up such a simple job? Luo Zhixin snapped at his useless underlings. Boss Luo, there was nothing we could do. The kid had an invite from Wei Jingxiong, the big boss, and he's on his turf. We were outmatched from the start. Invite from Wei Jingxiong. Luo Zhixin was taken aback. Was this guy trying to suck up to Wei Jingxiong? You sure about that? Luo Zhixin asked cautiously. Positive. The manager at Wangjiang Pavilion said it himself. The manager said it? Luo Zhixin was skeptical. What if they're just throwing Wei Jingxiong's name around to scare you? Did you see Wei Jingxiong's guys actually deliver the invite? Luo Zhixin challenged. Well, no. The underling shook his head. Damn it, you morons got played. Luo Zhixin lost it, kicking the losers as hard as he could. He figured the invite was a fake, a bluff cooked up by the new boss of Wangjiang Pavilion to scare off his rivals. And these bozos fell for it. But boss, what if it's true? We can't take that risk, the underling argued. Luo Zhixin cooled down. He had a point. Even if the odds were slim, they couldn't afford to mess with a big shot like Wei Jingxiong. All right, get the car ready. We're going to Fengqiao Villa District. Luo Zhixin yelled. He had connections that got him where he was today. Now, he had to turn to his backer, Fan Hongkai, chairman of Jiangzhou Fan Group, one of the biggest players in town, right up there with Wei Jingxiong. The driver went to get the car, and Luo Zhixin pulled a fancy box out of the safe, looking pained. You don't go asking for favors empty-handed. If he wasn't worried about the new Wangjiang Pavilion boss's possible ties to Wei Jingxiong, he wouldn't bother Chairman Fan. With Chairman Fan on his side, he wouldn't have to worry about Wei Jingxiong. Chairman Fan could handle Wei Jingxiong, and then taking down the young boss of Wangjiang Pavilion would be a piece of cake. A few minutes later, Luo Zhixin was on his way to Fengqiao Villa District. The next day, bright and early at 9, Chen Fan set off for Tingfei Group. Meanwhile, Feng Yanli, full of himself, was already there. Today was the day he'd kick Chen Fan out of the company and make good on his promise to Mr. Kong Baisheng. He'd talked to Mr. Kong yesterday, and Mr. Kong promised that if he could teach Chen Fan a lesson and get him canned, he'd help him become the biggest shareholder of Tingfei Group. Today was the day he'd step on Chen Fan and rocket to the top. The more he thought about it, the more excited Feng Yanli got, practically vibrating with anticipation. Just then, one of Feng Yanli's cronies came over and whispered something in his ear, and just like that, Feng Yanli's face fell.